Great. Okay. Welcome everybody to the January 4th, 2023 town board meeting. And so I will start the meeting with a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll open the meeting with opportunity for privilege of the floor. Anybody? I don't think anyone was signed up. I don't see any Zoom hands, so I will move on to the meeting.
Pointer, let's look at him. Oh.
Yeah. So the first item that we have on the agenda tonight is just a discussion of Town of Caroline retirement benefits to highway employees. And Don Barber agreed to, or offered to come and provide some history.
That's retired, not just highway employees, that's retired employees.
Thank you. That's correct. So I will. This is right. So this is the 2017 to 2021 agreement, and I'll just scoot down to the section if I can ever get there with the retirement provision. Here we go. So this is 11.2 that states the medical insurance for retirees for members of the highway unit, and so you can see the coverage is for regular full-time employees hired before January 1st of 2005. The town offers medical insurance, prescription drug coverage, and prescription drug coverage after they retire from town employment and are receiving retirement benefits under the New York State retirement system. Coverage is also available for the retiree's eligible spouse if the spouse was covered under the town's medical insurance plan on the retiree's last date of employment with the town. Eligibility is the second section. For an employee who was hired before January 1st, 2005 to be eligible for coverage, the retiree must meet all of these requirements: have at least 20 years of service and be at least 55 years of age, or qualify in the event employees are offered incentives by New York State employees retirement system to retire early. 2, have retired directly from the town, and 3, have been granted a retirement benefit from the New York State employees retirement system. 11.2.3, premium payment for an eligible retiree who was hired before January 1st, 2005. The town will pay the full premium for individual or family coverage as the case may be. 11.2.4, plan for a retiree who is not eligible for Medicare. The town will provide health, prescription, dental coverage through the same policy as for full-time employees. And then 11.2.5 is Medicare. At the time the retiree and or spouse meet the eligibility criteria for Medicare coverage, the retiree and or spouse will be enrolled in the New York State Teamsters Council Health and Hospital Fund Secure Medicare Supplement Plan or its equivalent. And the town will not reimburse an eligible retiree and the retiree spouse for the cost of the Medicare B premium. And I'll just state for the way Medicare works, and Don can embellish this if necessary, but when you become Medicare eligible, you can enroll in Medicare A and B, and there is a premium for the Medicare B. Medicare supplement coverage is additional coverage that basically pays the out-of-pocket costs associated with medical expenses or hospital expenses under Medicare A and B. So it sort of fills that gap. So that's what's in the collective bargaining agreement. And with that, I thought there has been some concern or confusion over how this relates to past resolutions. And so I thought I would ask Don to chime in here and provide any history if he could. So,
Sure, I'd be happy to.
okay.
So, I was not on the town board in 1990 when a resolution was adopted describing retiree benefits for all employees of the town that had 20 years for the service. And that stayed in effect until 1998, whenever another resolution was adopted, which clarified or updated the 1990 resolution. And yeah, so the town was graduating through the process as time went on. I'll say one of the reasons that the town was paying attention to it in 1998, because both Cal and I were on the board at that time, the self-insurance premium was going up to 12 and 15% a year, which means they were doubling about every 4 or 5 years. So it was raising town board's awareness of what's happening, continued to happen into the early 2000s, which is the reason why local governments came together and created the health consortium, wanted to create the health consortium, because we're looking for ways to manage the cost of health insurance premiums, which are going up much faster, and property tax rates are going up. So other aspects of town government were paying for that benefit to make up the difference. So whenever I looked at past contracts, the contract that went from 2002 to 2004 had absolutely no mention of retiree benefits. So at that time, the 1998 resolution was still in effect. In 2005 contract, things changed, and the language that Mark just read was in the 2005 contract, and has been in that contract ever since.
What part of that?
Excuse me?
What part of that, Don? What part of that?
So everything that Mark just read.
The
this is that-
medical insurance for retirees.
We discussed that, me and you, how many meetings did we have? And the only thing that we brought up was the reimbursement for the premium, not that we wouldn't have town insurance after we got Medicare. That was never brought up. Me and you have never discussed that.
So I would just say that anytime someone negotiates the highway collective bargaining agreement, you don't take into account any conversations with side conversations, what you take into account is what's in the contract. So Cindy, you weren't at the table, the bargaining table, but this was ratified by both the town board and the highway employees.
I thought the word was worth something. I see you fall right in with the rest of these bonds.
So I don't know what other questions you might
Yeah.
have about the process and where we are, but
Okay.
the evolution of the towns, what the town's paying for the retirees has changed. And it did change to the point where at one time we were paying for the employee spouse in 1990. Prior to 1998, and then in 1998, we stopped paying for retiree spouse. So has been evolving.
Hmm.
It continues to evolve, and the next time there's a retiree, or the collective bargaining agreement is done, highway employees will be dealt with. The town currently has a 1998 resolution, which is in effect for anybody who's working prior to 1998. That's not a highway employee, that's still in effect. You may want to sit down and look at that and review it.
So if someone retires, the contract that is in place at the time of their retirement takes effect, or is the contract when they were hired? Is that the one in effect? So there seems to be a little confusion on that.
Yeah.
But for me.
So the contract, the language that Mark just read,
Mhm.
deals with the date that they were hired.
Okay,
But they are active employees while they're working. So if the contract changes, something's changed, like something happened between 2004 and 2005 contract that changed.
okay,
So if someone's still retired, is still working in 2005, and then they retire during that contract or subsequent contract, then their retiree benefits are dictated by the contract that they negotiated. Whenever someone sits down in a collective bargaining, we don't negotiate one item at a time and then cross it out. Everything's put together in a comprehensive package. So if you change holidays, if you change overtime pay, if you change pay rate, all that stuff, it's a comprehensive package. And so you can't cherry pick what day you want to retire, what benefits you want. When you're active, you're receiving the benefits of more time, and yet that's what you decide to do. To, provide some other benefit in exchange for retiree benefits. That's a decision you made while you were an active employee.
at the time of retirement. Okay, yeah, all right.
I was gonna ask you, or I'd like to ask you about the quote unquote side letter. And I think that was associated with when it went to the Health Consortium Insurance in 2011. So could you explain that and what it applies to?
Sure. So when you were negotiating a labor contract, the town wanted to go to the health consortium because that had significant benefits for the employees that were covered under health insurance or not under the Teamster plan. And so in doing that, we told the highway employees that they received no decrease in benefit as a result of the plan. So the side letter deals with ensuring that there's no decrease in benefit. The plan that was written by the consortium mirrored exactly the Teamsters health plan. So there was really never an issue with that. The consortium does not rate dental insurance. So the dental insurance that the Teamsters had was different in what it would cover than the consortium plan that we were able to buy through CSEA. So the side letter deals with how to
Make them
that difference.
make them equivalent.
To ensure that the highway employees saw no decrease in benefit
Right. And that was for active employees.
for active employees.
Okay. Thank you.
So the resolution that was given, that you read up here, says that 11.2.4, for retiree who is not eligible for Medicare, the town will participate in the New York State Teamsters Council Hospital Fund Retiree Medical Plan, option 1, including dental.
Hmm.
So the dental plan carries until they are eligible for Medicare. And then it goes away.
Okay.
Where are you just reading from? Because that's different from what's up there.
I think you're reading from the 1998 or 90 resolution.
2005.
Oh,
So
2005.
this is-
Oh, where should I go here?
Right there is two.
I mean, it's the same, it's a shift, it says the town will provide health, prescription, and dental coverage through the same policy as the full-time employee.
So this is making nothing about covering dental once they retire.
Yeah, right,
That's what you're saying.
Mhm.
right.
So that could be, and that's just another change that's taking place over time.
Okay, so the town. Is
So there are people that retire
Yeah.
that are not Medicare eligible.
Right.
And so they stay on the same PPO plan, goal plan, because they have all their active until they reach Medicare age. Once they reach Medicare age, they go to Medicare, which pays primary, and then Medicare supplement, which fills in any gaps. The Medicare supplement plan will pay between Medicare and that, and a lot of it is on the prescription side, because the Medicare supplement plan has a prescription rider that goes with it. So Medicare Plan B is not that comprehensive when it comes to prescription, but the Medicare supplement goes in. So there's very little change for a person that's been on a PPO plan to change the Medicare supplement. They see almost no change. There are a few things, and I don't know the specifics of that, you can find that out, but there are minimal changes going to the Medicare supplement.
But they'd have to pay for the Plan B, right, the Medicare Plan B.
The premium.
So-
The premium, yeah.
So this was changed in 2005 for highway employees that they will no longer receive reimbursement for medical. Anybody who retires after 2005 or January 1, 2005, they will no longer receive compensation for their Medicare Part B treatment.
But they
Did
do
you
get
say
supplement.
just highway or
Just
just highway?
it's still in effect for non-highway employees that retire. Or according to the resolution that was adopted in 1998, that has not changed. The town board had to do something to change it.
And who would fall under non-highway, non-union? Just you. Yeah.
Highway superintendent of.
And Bob, I mean, just to make it clear about what we're talking about here. So we have highway who are union, other than you, who's not union, right?
So the highway superintendent, clerk, and the code officer, all full-time employees should have, they should have that, they don't have to have it, but they could have that option. See town insurance, if they have 20 years and meet the other requirements, they would be, they would have their Medicare premium or be paid when they retire.
Right, I mean, they fall under what the resolution would say. The union employees fall under what the union contract says.
Right.
Okay, I mean, that's like, I feel like that's the key important thing, because there's confusion about that.
Well, I mean, so the resolution from 1990 was used in 1998. There didn't seem to be any confusion about that,
Right,
but there is confusion now that we talk about 2005.
right,
So you can't be confused all the time or none of the time.
right, right. And the resolution is updated because that's what happens. And the union contracts are updated all the time because that's how they're negotiated. And if you're part of a union, you know that your benefits are dictated by the union, like all your guys, right?
They
And, right, they have to vote on it. And if you're not a union employee, you understand what the benefits are as like an employee of the organization, which is the town. And that's it.
So Don, I just, you mentioned that in 2005, that proposal was actually brought to the bargaining table by the Teamsters. Is that right?
So the Teamsters were bringing things to the table because they had to bring on a Medicare supplement plan. So prior to that, sometime during the early 2000s, and I don't remember this exactly, but they were covering retirees under the same PPO plan as the actives. But it was becoming pretty clear to them that that was a really generous plan. It was really too expensive and that wasn't doing them any good. So they decided to create the Medicare supplement plan just to help their employees and the bargaining units they were working with. So so the language, when you had the Teamster, you brought into Teamsters insurance, which the town didn't until 2011. That was part and parcel of what you got. It wasn't something the town could negotiate. That's
Yeah,
what you got.
it was what you got. Okay. Interesting.
The benefits that the highway fund, the Teamsters Highway Health and Welfare Fund put out. The town had a whole negotiation on that. It's an insurance plan that everybody on that plan is. You don't have a side plan for the town of Caroline's, 5 or 10 employees. You get whatever the Teamsters had, so there was no bargaining.
Yeah.
The town to do with the bargaining unit could do on those benefits. That's what they got,
Okay,
which is, just make the side point, which is a little bit different than where you are with the consortium. Because the consortium does have a joint committee on, benefit plan design that members of the highway group can be part of, and they can talk about the benefits they want and adjust the plan to meet their needs. They don't have that option with teachers, so that was, I just throw that out for what it's worth, and maybe for Bobby to know if there are concerns about within the group about some of the benefits, there's an avenue for them to get involved and to change it.
Retirees have that same ability.
Excuse me,
Do retirees still have that same ability?
that should not.
They have
But
to
they have,
go with
they have the ability to deal with it while they're active.
so a mechanism for that, Don, could be a highway member volunteering to be on the joint committee for the health consortium. Something like that, because they're looking for labor all the time.
Each union, each bargaining unit has a seat on that committee. So there's been a seat for Caroline's highway crew since the consortium started.
That's vacant right now.
There's always been, all I was there.
Okay. So just throwing that out.
When I was looking at the consortium, there may have been 15 bargaining units that had members there that were at the table and bringing things forward and participating in that process. But there's many more seats available.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
And this is just a question to Mark for clarification and for clarity. My question is, does the town board have the right or the option to either add or detract from benefits under this highway agreement without entering into negotiation with the union?
I think you would have to open negotiations.
So we cannot, at our own discretion, change this contract for better or for worse, correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay, I think that's very, very important to clarify. Sorry, California is having a flood emergency.
Thank you. Yep. Great. Any other questions or comments?
No.
Related.
Bob, do you have any questions for your people?
I mean, no, because the ones, everybody that's there now, it's changed again since previous contracts, so anybody that retires from here on out, there's zero insurance. If you retire at 55, there's none,
Okay.
so.
Okay. Good. No, good that there's clarity.
Great. Well, thank you, Don, for coming to offer that history and information. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great.
Great, good luck with your organizational listening.
They're really jazzy tonight, Don.
It's really missing, yeah.
Really thick packets. Yeah. Thank you, Don.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll take the train.
All right. So we have the organizational resolutions that are on the agenda. And I will take, I'll make a couple of comments, and I'd like to go through organizational resolution 1, just sort of it's our rules of procedure. I think it's a good thing to just sort of start the year with. And then I will note a few little changes and go from there. So And the idea is that once we've kind of done that, then we'll just adopt these all as a group. So we don't have to do all the process Robert's rules for every single resolution. So I hope that's a relief to everybody of some degree. So anyway, the first resolution is the town board meeting rules of procedure. Resolve the Caroline Town Board will conduct business using the principles of Robert's Rules of Order with the following guidelines. Meeting decorum and responsibilities. 1, we are all equals at the table and are elected to serve the town. We must at all times strive to make our meetings cordial and honorable. Recognizing our fallibility as humans, we acknowledge that adherence to meeting rules of procedure will facilitate a constructive meeting atmosphere and process. We therefore commit to the principles and practices of Robert's Rules of Order. 2, our communications with each other and the public must acknowledge the dignity or worth, dignity and worth, I would say, of other persons and points of view. 3, each board member shall have an opportunity to speak once before speaking a second time. The presider, typically the supervisor, shall guide this if needed. Adherence to this process will promote equal participation by members, a thoughtful pace that promotes well-considered dialogue and curtails emotional reactions and mitigates against interruption. So agenda meeting. So these are sort of the typical structure for the 2 monthly meetings. The agenda meeting, the first meeting, committee reports from council members, introduction of resolutions to be considered at the business meeting. It's a typical public hearing venue. Resolutions may be brought forward for matters considered to be time sensitive and should be included on the meeting agenda, if not pro forma. And then setting of agenda items for the business meeting. This relates back to number 2. The supervisor shall establish the order of the business meeting agenda. And then for the business meeting, follow the established agenda. Items may be added. Reports from department heads and county legislator. Opportunity for committee report updates, and then resolutions taken in order and must be moved and seconded prior to discussion. And that's actually a good process even for discussion items that we formalize that with a motion to introduce discussion of a particular item and then have a discussion of that. And that helps us not have a super long meeting for one thing. So between meetings, and these are goals, by Thursday preceding the business meeting, the supervisor shall post the agenda and resolutions on the website and send to the webmaster for distribution on the town listserv. Abstract approvals, transfers, budget amendments are typically added later by necessity, of course, as well as pro forma actions like approval of annual contracts. The clerk shall prepare and compile the vouchers for payment of bills at the business meeting. And 3, the 3 town board members, which can and usually does include the supervisor, shall inspect and sign off on each voucher for accuracy and legitimacy. And the supervisor shall prepare a monthly statement of town accounts and prepare the budget amendment and transfer resolutions. Yep.
About number 3, when the vouchers are signed by Bob, and then just 2 town board members. So it's typically be signed by Bob, you, and then.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, because I think I would guess the comptroller would say it should be council members, but I don't know.
We follow that process now.
Right.
It doesn't have to be 2, or 3 council people
Right.
on Bob's
Right,
vouchers,
it only has to be 2.
but
You can't sign it.
we do it that way. That's,
Yeah, I just,
everybody looks at them when they're looking at the general voucher.
Interesting.
The A fund anyway, so.
We do the general vouchers anyway, so it's really not a big inconvenience to continue to do the highway vouchers as well.
Right, I think, but what's your point, Cal? That,
The vouchers that are signed by Bob, I guess should be signed by 3 town board members, I guess if we go with this, not just 2,
yeah,
which has been the procedure I've seen in the past.
yeah, I mean, I think the principle behind 3 is that it's a majority vote of the town board or of the approval process. So yeah, I'm not super concerned about this, but it's
Yeah, I mean,
something that never crossed my mind before.
not either, I just kind of.
It's an interesting point. And so
So
by,
there are 4 people then that sign.
Yeah.
For the highway.
that's what this would say, yeah. Yep. Good, okay, thank you.
Do we need to change anything that we're doing? To abide by it now or no?
I think the recommendation would be that 3 of us sign the highway. Is that what you're saying?
This,
Yeah.
the highway superintendent plus the 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's, Yeah.
Nothing changes, right?
oh, okay,
From what it's stuck.
Well, right now it's 2.
Oh,
Right now it's 2 council, it's 2 councilmen. Plus myself that signs. I love it.
that's what we've been doing.
That's what
So
we've
that's
done.
2 versus 3.
So we've done it here. I don't know why not want to change it.
They like.
But it certainly would be, I mean, there's a space for 3 and 3 council members go by the voucher pouches every month.
You don't sign them, but you still review them.
Yeah.
So
So,
that means you have to sign them all.
So that's.
What?
technically
That means you have to
true.
sign them, right? So right now we get the vouchers. Yeah, I sign them, Tim signs them. Then you go over them. Did you sign them as well?
I sign them.
Okay, so that's 3.
That's 3, but what we're discussing are the highway
I understand.
ones.
So,
Okay,
but then it's so it's Bobby and us 2 already, and then you sign them again. I don't understand why there's only 2 town board members. signing.
Right now, Mark does not sign them, so we
Oh.
need to just
I-
change the language on this, so there's nothing like sacred about this, we can just change the language.
right. I think we just leave the language as is.
And you start signing them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, or I don't know. I mean,
Or it just says 3 town board members shall review each voucher for accuracy and.
Yeah.
I mean, they get reviewed by all 6 people.
Then it's a good patch on your cart, so it's like. Be care about it.
Right.
What's your left? Okay, so.
I mean, I think it's an interesting point, you
Just
know,
make it clearer for the record.
yeah.
3 signatures and then 2 initials. Say it all.
So general opportunity for the public to address the town board during privilege of floor is at the discretion of the board and may be provided at any meeting. Expectations are provided by the town's privilege of the floor policy. The next resolution, to the extent possible, authors of resolutions shall distribute their draft resolutions for review and feedback to the full board prior to public posting of the meeting's agenda. Resolutions introduced for a public meeting, board actions, town policies, local laws, et cetera, are the products of town board's internal deliberations intended for review and feedback from the public and further discussion by the board during public session. If prepared, review of meeting minutes shall occur at the next meeting of the town board to facilitate the review process, respect and assist the clerk's management of meeting records, and enhance provision of information about town board activities to the public. Public hearings and informational presentations may be scheduled for either monthly meeting. Items of business will typically be scheduled for the business meeting, but may be scheduled for the agenda meeting if considered urgent. Submission of a written committee and department head, submission of written committee and department head reports prior to the meeting is encouraged in order to facilitate discussion. That's the full resolution. Any further comments or questions on that? I think it's pretty close to what we've been doing, but it's always worth reflecting on. So the next thing, Jesse pointed out that the computing center has actually changed its name to, they've merged with, so they're now Synergy IT Solutions Incorporated. So resolution 45, yeah, Tim.
I have a question about the resolution 44. Weren't we in discussion about perhaps changing our IT support person?
I
company?
had the same question, Tim.
We were, we haven't done that at this point. But I think we need to get one more quote, so right now, our IT provider is the computing center. This doesn't lock us in for a year or anything. We can change at any time. They have been extremely helpful in the last week or so preceding tax season. I think we need one more quote and then to actually look carefully at the different options. So,
Thank you.
yep, you're welcome. Then I'll make a note. Resolution 21, we need to set the annual audit meeting. And I was going to propose that for simplicity's sake, I need to contact the court they last year insisted on holding their audit meeting during working hours in the day. So I want to reach out to them and see when that could be. We could hold other audit meetings for my office and Jesse's at another time or the same. I was just going to change the wording to say that we'll hold this audit meeting in January and we'll figure it out later.
Okay.
If that's acceptable.
It's not in, and there's no plan.
Right, no date yet. So. And then for resolution 24 is Association of Towns Delegates. So that's a discussion. We could pull that resolution and discuss it later after passing all the others, perhaps. Maybe that makes sense, or we could, if we think we can decide right now, that's possible too.
Do
I'm-
you know? Does anyone?
I'm hoping to go to the meetings. It's like the 19th to the 22nd of
Right.
February,
Yeah,
something like that.
I'd like to go. I feel like maybe it could be the delegate, start March, surety to go.
Mhm. That's usually. right.
Go to the last year meeting, that canceled the last meeting.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Last minute, because of the COVID spike. Lord knows the same thing they have this year.
Does anyone else plan to go to the annual meeting? It's like,
Well, I've never been, so I'm a little curious
You should
about
go, if you can, you can have my spot.
it. Okay,
I mean, it's great, you get a lot of good information. I mean, well, maybe three of us can go.
okay.
absolutely.
But
Any-
it's really helpful. There's just so many good things that.
Have you gone to that?
No.
Tim?
No, sorry, I have a conflict that weekend, so I can't go.
So I'll say you, Mark, Kate as the alternate.
Sure.
That work?
If it's good with Kate,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Great. And then resolution 42, I do wish to pull because I'm still working to identify a chair for the planning board. So the current chair is Bill Podolka, but in conversation to. So.
What, and what?
I'm resolution 42 identifies the chair of the planning board.
Yeah.
So Bill wishes to step back from that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so So I'm working to identify chair. So that,
Okay.
that resolution is premature. I need to pull it back, pull it out
Okay.
until further notice. But until such time, Bill remains as chair.
Okay.
So. And then, so then the last thing I'll do. And it's getting hard to tell at this point if this is actually faster than just doing each resolution, but probably if you look at the purchasing resolution, you would, it is, but. And Jesse already made the changes to that. These are all 2023 resolutions. Thank you for finding that. So for resolution 36, for the TCOG representatives, I would like to stay on as the designated representative, and Tim has said he would like to remain as alternate, if that's okay for everyone.
That's 36 or 37.
Thursday.
Thank you.
And then for 37, I will stay on as the designated representative to the Health Consortium with Velvet as the alternate. For the Tompkins County Resolution 38, the rec partnership, Karen Scott has agreed to be a representative. The other position is still unfilled. If anybody knows someone who would like to do that, there are monthly meetings. And then the 39, the Joint Youth Commission. There are two people from the same family. So Karen and her son Titus have both agreed to serve in that role. Barry Goodrich has said he's willing to stay on as Stormwater Coalition representative. Steve Nicholson is our Environmental Management Council representative. And Craig Modisher is staying on as the chair of the review board. So I just wanted to, and then last but certainly not least, and I skipped over it. So based on our prior discussions, let's see, which resolution is it? Resolution 10, the town board meeting dates. So we will have the two meeting days will be on the first and third Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. And we'll designate the first as the agenda meeting and the second as the business meeting. So those are the key points in all of that and the amendments that I have. Does anybody have any questions or anything else to add to that?
Under procurement policy, resolution 17, back in 4, 5, and 6, I want to increase the amounts by 50%.
And how did you come up with that number?
I feel that these numbers are just stated this level. And, you know, just inflation and just general cost of goods. You know, $100 was just, I don't know, I just think it would be, you know, having to get three vendors. You know, just all the involvement and paperwork that's involved in that. Those numbers.
I had this, I mean, I've had the same thought, but it would be nice to have something to get, like, does the comptroller's office have recommendations, or, you know, I kind of would like something to go on. Rather than just, you know, making a seat of the pants adjustment. I mean, I would assume that that's possible, or what do you think?
Yeah, it just seems, you know, that they've been kind of stuck at these levels for quite a few years. And so.
So do you think it should be like adjusted for inflation by like
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been for a while, I tried to get a hold of, some other townships, just didn't have any luck. So. Or why are they, you know, if the pushback is, well, why are the numbers at this level? You know,
Well, we don't know where these numbers came from. These might well have come from the office of the comptroller or something. So, I mean, my recommendation would be to pass this as is and work on that. Maybe pass, you know, we can amend it. And we could, I'd like to get the town attorney's recommendation, or, you know, review of it for something like this.
Mark? Excuse me, for some reason, when Cal was mentioning figures, it was garbled. Would you mind just summarizing what he's recommending?
He's recommending, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cal, or do you want to say it, Cal? Just,
Tim, I just recommended that the amounts be increased by 50%.
Okay, yeah, that got garbled for some reason. Thank you.
Well, I tend to mumble,
And you're saying all numbers,
yes,
with all mentioned
you
numbers.
Just
know,
all through.
less than, well,
It's I and J.
yeah,
But like, not, you're not talking about guideline 5 and 6. Or 4.
yeah, I'm talking about all of them, just to give a little more leeway.
I would be comfortable spending more time thinking about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do some,
Outside.
I'll do some work and getting some numbers, and if I feel that they're still out of line, we can consider an amendment at some point on down the road.
great. I think it's good. I'll also bring it up with the supervisors meeting. We'll see what we can find out. Thank you.
Yeah, resolution number 17, what's the guideline for, you know, if something, you know, less than 20,000, but greater than or equal to 20,000, you have to do this. I'd like to see 30,000 and 15.
Great. It probably is
Like I said, you know,
overdue to make an adjustment, so
Yeah.
we'll do that. Okay. Anything else? Okay, with no further,
And Mark, one quick one. I don't know if it really matters, but on your privilege of the floor. You can agree not to speak about town staff.
Wait,
I think there's gotta be some clarification of town staff. Because elected officials aren't. We don't fall in the same category as town staff.
Yeah, so anyone can comment on us.
Right. But it doesn't really, it just, we know that, but I don't know if everybody else knows it.
yeah, I don't know. That's exactly the reason we added this language.
What would you propose?
Well, I don't know if it just worked a little. No. Whether it's just not pertaining to elected officials or. It just kind of makes it clear that you can't come in and talk about. An assistant clerk or the groundskeeper or highway personnel, but if somebody has to come in and complain about me, they're more than welcome to come.
So non-elected, you prefer non-elected versus staff.
Non-elected employees, or just.
That would make more sense, I think.
Yeah.
I know, what's the wording proposal?
Either non-elected or appointed or hired or versus, I guess, non-elected. I mean,
It's the second bullet point, right, Bob?
Yeah.
Under resolution 2.
that's, I mean, I'm not clear that that's an issue. I think people feel very free to
Good.
to share their opinions of us, but if we want to make it even more clear that they're more than welcome to, then I'm for that, that's fine.
Can I suggest that we say staff parenthesis,
Non-elected.
not elected?
Good adjustment, yeah.
And I'll just add that our privilege of the floor policy still makes it inappropriate to personally attack even elected officials.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It does. So,
Where does it say that?
In terms of the decorum, in terms
Respectful
of,
discourse is required.
And there's no, I mean, I don't wanna take time honestly doing this now, but maybe just to put a pin in. There's nothing in our privilege of the floor policy about like enforcement, really. And I would propose that we have something in there. And we say like, please do this, but there's not like, and if you don't, like a sheriff's deputy is gonna be in here and take you out, but I mean, honestly. I would propose that we have enforcement guidelines in the guideline,
Consequences.
so that it's very clear. What will occur, or like, we will stop the meeting, or we will, like, whatever, so it's not that it's like the seat of our pants making some sort of decision, and then there's. Uproar about this, I mean, again, this is not for this meeting, but I would, as we're on this now.
Some towns have if the person goes over it, their comment is stricken from the record.
Yeah, so all sorts of
I'm
ideas.
just saying, there's different ideas on, because it has been misused.
okay,
I
For
would say if there's gonna be one
investigation.
thing here that has like impacted the running of the town, it would be this resolution. In my view. I mean, for however long.
Yeah.
Right, but
I mean, I personally like it just, holding people to high expectations. I think that's good and respectful, and so I understand, I mean, yeah.
well, I do too, it just hasn't worked. I mean, I'm not being critical of you, but I agree that we should just expect good things of people and like. I just feel like we as a board, and I will go on record as saying this, has given the public. The benefit of the doubt beyond the benefit of the doubt around privilege of the floor, and it's been abused over and over and over again, and it has disrupted the workings of the town. And I would like it to, not happen in 2023. That would be my like New Year's resolution for the town.
Yeah, I have
So
a little different take, but
Okay.
because I think things have improved. Jesse disagrees.
I mean, it's improved because no one's here. Like, it's improved right now because no one's coming to the meeting, quite frankly. Like, okay,
Happy here.
well, I mean, look, I'll always speak my mind and be honest, like, when the meetings are not populated. We get a lot done.
we just have called clowns a few minutes ago.
Yeah, but that, I mean,
I don't know, that's not respectful discourse. It's kind of like, nobody calls it out. It's like, oh yeah, you can call the town board names, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know, people call me names all the time.
right, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like, I'm not worried about that, I'm worried about, like,
I'm saying it's not respectful discourse. That's my point. If we're talking about actually expecting
yeah.
So
respectful
Well,
discourse,
when
then we
you-
need to
when you
respect
talk-
respectful discourse. Whether it's,
When someone's gone on for 5 minutes and you've asked them to stop and they refuse, then that's.
yeah.
absolutely, and then I think there should be repercussions for that.
What she's
That's what I'm
saying.
or when someone is shouting, screaming, and swearing. Or disrupting the meeting in the middle of the meeting by shouting, screaming, and swearing. But I think this again
Can we
requires.
have another discussion about this at some point? I mean.
Yeah.
maybe this was-
I think so.
Together.
Okay. Can do. Right, so at the business meeting to talk about. Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see what other towns have in place.
One more question, Mark, not on that, but on number 26, and maybe Jesse can just correct me, if I may be wrong. But did this change? Go once a year,
They change, yes, this,
or this just says at least once during their appointment. But I think the state's changed it to once a year.
Yeah, yeah, that's done annually, right, Mark? The standard workday resolutions. Yeah, that's annual,
That wording is,
yeah,
I didn't make up that wording, so.
it probably should,
You should say once annually.
yeah, right, at least once annually and not during their term of appointment.
Should be once annually throughout their appointment.
That is something that, since we're on it, we might as well explain this applies to any salaried employee who's on the retirement system. So it likely doesn't apply to many of us, but if in that situation, this is the way the retirement system estimates your weekly work hours. So do you want to change that to annually?
I think you have
Do you
to.
want me to?
I'm not, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna look into it.
Oh, it's not.
I mean,
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with once during appointment week.
Well, I know that once you do it, if you feel like the next year comes around and you feel like your work schedule hasn't changed, at least it used to be that you could just sign a thing to say it hasn't changed and I don't need to do this again. So, but I don't know.
I don't know.
So
It's not-
anyway, it is an annual, this has been an organizational resolution. As long as I've been around, it's fine to put annually in there. So let's just do that and move on. Any other changes? So with that, I will offer a resolution to, I am gonna do it by resolution just because I feel better about that and I don't think it hurts. So this will be a resolution, I think this will be resolution 48 now. Have I just pulled one, Jesse?
Yes.
So whichever.
Well,
So approval of resolutions 1 through 47 by consent agenda. I'll offer that. Do I have a second? By Catherine. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Great. All right. So with that, I will offer a resolution for the purchase of a new town hall printer, whereas the Ricoh Town Hall printer has reached its useful life, 11 years old, and has outdated software and replacement parts are no longer manufactured. And whereas the Ricoh has provided us a quote of $29.97 for a Ricoh model 2500 that meets our needs, and whereas a quote for a comparable HP model was $34.85. Therefore, be it resolved, the Caroline Town Board hereby approves the purchase of a Ricoh C2500 printer.
amen.
Oh.
I'll take that as a second.
Yes.
Okay.
Bring it away.
Any further discussion?
Be rapid as it is, though.
Can I ask the question?
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you buy it outright instead of renting it?
Pardon me? Can you
Is there a
rent it?
reason why you buy it outright instead of like doing the rest of the contract?
Yeah, I don't know.
The service built in?
Mm-hmm. Do you know anything about that, Jesse? Did they offer rental?
No, I just know we paid half of what we paid 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And our service with Ricoh gives us the maintenance, parts and whatever. When we need it. I don't know, as long as I've been around, I don't know. If being rented, that's all I'm gonna say.
Might be worth looking into it and then prorating this to see how it would
The reporter does. so.
pencil out, but
Okay.
thank you. Yeah, no, it's a reasonable question. So,
Well, and something to add for the IT, I mean, they're getting so advanced at this point that it like becomes part of your IT package or whatever, so.
Mhm.
that's-
Yeah, because they're out, I mean, they go back, they're outdated so quickly, and I suggested that,
Yeah,
so, just thought,
yeah,
I think that's what we would want.
yeah, it'd be interesting for the new IT people to ask them about it.
mhm.
What?
To say both people.
Well, for now.
So should I call a vote on that one?
Second,
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. And we'll look into things. That's a good point. I will offer first a budget adjustment resolution. This is simply to handle the camp payroll from last year. So resolve the Caroline Town Board makes the following budget adjustments for summer camp: 33,861.31 increase and 3820 youth programs revenue, 31,471 increase in A7140.1 youth summer employment personnel services expenditures, and $2,390.31 increase in A9030.8 Social Security expenditures. I'll take a second from anyone.
Sure.
Catherine? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Thank you. Resolution 51, these are 2022 budget transfer resolutions. Resolve the Caroline Town Board approves the following budget. Oh,
Why did you 52?
Yeah.
oh, yeah, so it actually, yeah, so it needs to be increased by one integer, so. It's actually gonna be 51 and the previous one 50 and so on, but.
Oh, so because we, yes.
So resolve the Caroline Town Board approves the following transfers: 8668 from A50 20.4 to A50 132.2, 1438 from A50 20.4 to A50 132.4, 1269.34 from DA 5140.4 to DA 5130.4. 15,850 from DA 9010.8 retirement to DA 9060.8 health insurance. 1715.55 from DA 9040.8 workers' comp to DA 9060.8 health insurance. 3943.01 from DA 5142.1 to DA 5010.1. Snow removal to general. 1709.22 from DA 5142.11 snow removal OT to DA 5110.11 general repairs OT. 6282.16 from DA 5140.1 miscellaneous personnel services to DA 5112.11 improvements over time. 2738.53 from DA 5142.1 snow removal personnel services to DA 5112.11 improvements over time. And then 15930.03 from DA 5142.1 snow removal PS to DA 5130.1 machinery personnel services. And then on the other page, 3450.37 from DA 5142.1 snow removal personnel services to DA 5140.111 sick vacation holiday pay. And I don't think, did I get a second at the start or not?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Kate finally got one. So those are just end of year budget adjustments to keep all the lines in the black, so. That makes sense, so. And if there are no further questions, or I will call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. Then Bob wanted me to let you know that the pickup truck that's been ordered might be coming soon, before the next meeting on the 18th. And so when that comes, I guess we need to have a check for them. So what I will do is when that arrives, then apparently right now we don't have an invoice or anything. So when it arrives, we'll create a voucher and I'll send out an email, and I would like to get some signatures on there before we issue payment for a new truck.
Round around, pretty much.
Okay, great. Great, okay. And then, so agenda items for our, and I have the wrong,
Hey, Mark, I think we forgot committee reports and Bobby's highway report.
oh my gosh,
We did.
that's really crazy.
I assumed you were doing this on purpose.
But we have the resolution stuff.
I did, I freed up all this time. So yeah, I'm sorry. So I think, why don't we
Yeah,
do?
but you give people then food.
So everybody is like, what's going on around here? So, okay, Bob, you have a report?
No,
It was about the truck, right?
Just the truck, and if it shows up, fine. They say it's gonna, but whether it does or not. Well, so, but they're saying that it is currently on its way.
Where did it come from? Not
Um,
California, is it?
It was coming from the GA, because it wasn't even built when we ordered it. And now they say it's headed to Buffalo and everything, so. In today's world, we'll see if it happens, but
We got stuck in Buffalo.
I mean, if it was in Buffalo, it could be under a lot of snow or it could be in some water, who knows, but.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Committee reports.
I'll quickly give a zoning commission report. As of this morning, the zoning commission is 98% finished with the full draft of what it will then decide or not to forward to the board. My understanding is they're hoping to have all of this ready in order to begin to move forward for the public hearing at the beginning of February. At some point, first or second week of February, probably, but it's probably the second week of February. So after that, they would make any changes based upon the public hearing. Those changes usually by that time, given all of the information sessions and information they've received, isn't likely to be astronomical. So I'm expecting them to most likely have final deliberations, let's say, probably at least by the end of February. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions for Tim?
And then they hand it to us at that time. That's.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, what I would recommend that we do as a board is that we start looking at this really carefully individually once they get that, once they announce the draft for the public hearing, because that's basically the draft that we're going to receive. And then we'll be in a, hopefully in a strong position to share our thoughts about this unofficially up to that point, so that we'll be better prepared to then begin deliberations about how we would want to move forward. But I just want to give everybody a heads up that the draft should be pretty much done for your reading. And there have been some changes from the draft that was presented for the last information session. But most of the document is not changed.
Are those public yet?
I mean, their deliberations are are public and they're recorded out. I doubt the meeting from last night is available yet, but it will be. And then the document will be made available to the public as soon as it's ready, with ample time for consideration for the public hearing. And I know the zoning commission has been very considerate about making sure that there's adequate time for the public to read these documents. So I have a lot of confidence in that.
And did they set a next meeting, Tim?
I'm- I apologize that I literally was on a plane last night and I've been following emails today, but there's a kind of natural disaster going on around me, so I haven't checked in the past few hours.
Wow. Yeah, okay. Reports.
So. Well, the broadband, I think, things have been pretty quiet for the holidays, I think, this month, but we did. Move forward on the contract with Hunts, it's kind of chugging along, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said he would get something back to me today.
Right. We did get the $133,000 grant from the county. And so that's official, so that's really good towards the broadband. Not as much as we asked for, but still, I'm still very happy about it. So, so yeah, so that's where the broadband thing is, and the transportation council, everything's pretty much quiet. We're having a meeting coming up, but the holidays really.
Good.
Everything, so.
Kate,
Yeah.
I want the public just to understand how exceptionally competitive that grant process was.
Okay,
That very, very few applicants received any funding at all. Our partner applicant, the town of Dryden, did not receive funding, so I think this just speaks to the quality of the application that you submitted. And the fact that we got even the 50% of what we asked for is really, really a huge boon for the town, so.
yeah, it's
wanna
really,
thank you very
it's
much.
really great that we got it, because a lot of places did not get any money. And we did get a little over 50%, so that's good. So that was the Tompkins Community Recovery Fund grants. They had about $6.5 million, and I believe all the applications were over $35 million if everybody had been funded that applied. So we did really well on that. So I'm pleased with that too. And I'm hoping that we'll be set up to be able to get more funding for this project, a lot more funding from the state coming up. So yeah.
Yes.
Nothing, in ag, the only thing, and I can't honestly remember if I shared this last time or not, is that we changed the schedule, so we're gonna be doing second Thursdays. I definitely sent that to Bella, but I don't know if I announced it publicly, so
Mhm.
second Thursdays, so we're meeting next, it's the 12th. next week.
Great. You don't have anything?
No.
Okay. Great. All right, so sorry about that, everybody. But we got it, so, with that,
11 slides.
yeah, okay, good. Let's see,
We're up to approval of minutes.
yes, so does anybody have feedback for Jesse on the minutes? All good, so hearing none, so The minutes of December 14th are hereby approved. Thank you, Jesse. And so business items for, I think our next meeting is the 18th, based on the
All right.
organizational resolution. So 2 weeks out,
So now we're meeting on the first
Yeah.
Wednesday and the third Wednesday,
right?
right, to give us a little more space to get.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So with that, Mark, just to. I won't be available on the third Wednesdays. So I may have to conduct some highway business at the or the agenda meeting,
Okay,
just
Right.
have scheduling conflicts for the third Wednesday.
I actually need to check with Dan Klein to see if he may end up.
Well, I guess when I just approved, I mean, we all approved that change, but I guess I did it under the assumption that we had already fleshed this all out, but forgive me, is that not something that happened? I mean, between Bob and Dan, if those
Yeah.
two things are not yet
So I had,
resolved, then I don't know
yes.
why Bob
So-
was-
I don't know about.
Bob
Yeah.
was- Okay,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's as long as I can, if I have something to bring forward, I just need to bring it forward at the agenda meeting, so.
okay, great, but we did talk, and we did talk about this. right?
Yes.
Yes, I do have a memory, of it. Okay, and then it's just Dan as the outstand.
Yeah. And I just forgot
Okay.
again, so.
If he couldn't do it, would it change? I guess, is there any situation where we would not make this change? Tim, do you have a comment?
I mean, I think Dan could always submit his report in writing for that matter, if that were to be the case, but I don't see why he couldn't do it at the agenda meeting. If he
Okay.
couldn't do it at the business meeting. also.
Yeah, he'll have. So I'll talk to Dan.
I
We'll-
agree.
And we'll go from there.
So 18.
So for our next meeting, do people have agenda items? So I will, so for the Speedsville study on district geothermal, the EggGeo is going to move forward on the feasibility study. So I will put forward a resolution just authorizing our approval of that, but that doesn't. That's just, we're participants in it, as we've already had one resolution about that, but I just want to keep everybody apprised of where that's going. So that's good. That's the Flex Tech program through NYSERDA. So I will put something forward for that. And then, so I did just send you today information about the code administration law. I don't want that to go dormant. We need to move forward with that. So, but so I would ask people to take a look at that, engage, and so I would say, decide by next Thursday if we're ready to discuss that at the next meeting or not. That would be my proposal.
And Mark, can you remind us whether, I just can't remember, did we leave the public hearing open for that?
We closed the public hearing.
So would we, if we did not make major changes, significant changes, then we would be able to take action on that at the business meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
And I don't see a reason why we can't be discussing it.
Right.
Right, I mean, I would just, yeah.
my proposal, there's no reason we can't discuss it. But I want to discuss it at a point where everybody is comfortable that they have the information
Yeah,
at hand that they need to discuss it, and that we honestly should discuss it amongst ourselves before the meeting as well, so that we can bring
okay.
the best thing forward
Mhm.
to the town at that point for further discussion or decision.
And if there end up being significant changes.
Then we would schedule a new public hearing. So that's certainly,
We have 2 weeks. As it stands now.
Pardon me?
We have 2 weeks then, as it stands now, to do that, so the question is whether that's enough time.
You're saying, in 2 weeks?
I'm saying it would next be on the agenda in 2 weeks at this point, and so, if we're like ready, if
Oh,
everyone's ready.
So what I'm saying is, that we should make that call in the next week.
Yeah, okay.
And if people aren't comfortable, that feel like they need more information, we just wait till February.
Okay.
I want people to have enough time
Yeah,
to feel comfortable that they understand the document.
Yep.
And what we're doing with it, so.
Okay.
That's my proposal on that one. Oh, yeah, so probably not, it's not for the January meeting. In February, we'll do the Association of Towns resolutions, so I don't think I have them yet, but.
They're in your mailbox,
Well, they are,
and they're due by February 3rd.
okay,
Be done with the-
they're due by February 3rd. Oh, then we will be doing them,
Yeah.
we will, okay, okay, thank you. So I think
We could do that.
we'll share that, I think we should do that at the next meeting on the 18th, definitely.
and I'll look into privilege of the floor stuff.
Okay,
Do we need to do anything about the street bank and their upstream from banks really?
So Bob and I are gonna talk with, John and Angel on Friday of this week.
Okay.
And then, certainly be happy to, I want to, discuss it with the watershed committee.
Okay.
And then,
So
so,
there's something going on with that.
well, yeah, I mean, I do want to, keep the conversation going and, it's a great opportunity. I don't want to drop the ball. So I'll just let you know, like, when I spoke to John earlier in the week and he said, we're, as I mentioned last time, we have the funds to do the engineering study and we want to do that. I can't really say what the project cost is going to be at this point. Bob had suggested that we look at, additional, funding possibilities, and I think that's good. So I guess, so John's looking for, our support for the project, should they, in the wake or after the engineering study is completed, so.
You know, FEMA did some of the original work that they be involved. Or is that tend to be determined with?
My understanding is no, they wouldn't, this would be considered maintenance. So,
Okay.
Would this be, it sounds like next week is becoming full.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. But, we're just pulled up Bob's email to us from the 27th, and shall we have discussion about that at some point and then move forward, or how?
you want to discuss it now, or,
No,
No.
like, we just had this whole thing about process, I guess I don't know what the.
so
Correct,
what I would propose is that we do have a discussion about it at the 18th meeting,
Okay.
and then, that Bob and I'll meet with John and Angel and get more information.
If you're gonna do that.
But you can't be here.
you gotta do it-
Oh, that's right, that's
you gotta
right.
do it at the agenda.
I mean,
Well, it makes sense to wait to get the information from this Friday, right?
Yeah.
So,
so we'll just wait till the agenda meeting in February.
Right, for agenda February.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just hadn't had follow up about that and. It'd be good.
And
Great.
then we'll be hearing from the people on highway bonds during January, proposals which are due by the end of the month. And that's basically architectural and engineering. Is financing gonna be involved with their proposals? Because if we need to do, I mean, I'm assuming that as we move forward, the town's gonna have to do a bond anticipation note. I'm not sure the building go. And is that something that we need to get going on?
Well,
There
that,
was a fairly involved article, bonding for new municipal facilities in the last talk of the town that came in. There's quite a bit to this, and it's. We need to be contacting and setting up.
well, we put that language in the RFP
It is.
for them to facilitate that.
And we're expecting.
Yeah,
there'll be-
I was. I mean, I'd be happy to, let's have a private conversation, because I don't know anything about it, actually. I've never bonded for anything, so.
Yeah, no, it's quite an involved process and.
But that is in the RFP. So I
Yeah,
would.
so
expect that
that's-
we would depend upon whoever we engage to lead us in that process.
Yeah. They do it all the time, so.
Yeah.
Be able to help us. So,
So is that? Sorry, I just have a very process question. This highway thing is gonna be an ongoing, obviously it's like enormous and ongoing.
Yes.
So it seems like there's gonna be, whether that's part of the highway, like we haven't. In this meeting, this has not yet come up until now, and we're ending the meeting. So is this like at every meeting, we should have what's the update on the highway barn? Or is that part of your report, in which case it only happens in the first meeting of the month, or like how shall we proceed with this?
I mean. I would, it's not necessarily part of my report, it's come under more of a committee report.
Okay, so that's you.
But at some point, we will be having, definitely, between all of us, having a lot more meetings that we have to fit in our schedules to make it all happen, so.
But I think, Catherine, there's this kind of, to me, there's this balancing act between. Is there something to report and is there something to anticipate, and kind of facilitate? And
I would say, maybe at each agenda meeting, we have a discussion and update.
yeah,
Right now, I hope everybody is aware of the revised RFP and the schedule that was put out,
Yeah.
that the proposals will be due on the 25th.
Right.
And then we'll have to move into evaluating them and setting up interviews. So, I think, all of this process should be, on our table. That should be something that we're doing.
but
With
it is something that.
Bob's
that
help.
Kind of gone through, so we kind of.
I mean, even if every month it's like, anything to report, nope, nothing to report, maybe I'm just so type A, it's like, I wanna check it off, like we talked about this. But maybe that's just.
Well, couldn't we just agree to have this as a regular
Yeah.
item of discussion from
Yeah.
here on out? And if there's information to be discussed, we'll discuss it. Otherwise, we'll have checked in about it.
Works for me.
I'd say both the agenda and business meetings personally.
Okay.
But this whole process we will be going through is kind of just getting started and we need to. Yeah, we need a formal process so that we keep moving it along well. I'm a little anxious about it.
Yeah.
Because, I'm used to just kind of, I feel like doing this fine. Well, no, that's not the way it works here, no. And I was a little unsure about if, assistance with funding was,
It's in there.
yeah.
And then, so that can be part of the interview, questioning and things like that. Oh, good. Anything else? And, so if you think of something, send it to me. So now we have a week. I will be making every effort to get the agenda posted by a week from tomorrow on Thursday. So that then it's out like almost a week in advance. That's certainly the goal, and yeah. Great.
Good.
Anything else? For hearing none and seeing only a thumbs up, I'll offer a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Kate. All in favor? Aye, opposed? And good luck with your floodwater, Tim.
Yeah. Don't.
I
don't
hate
get
to
in the
s-
mudslide.
As we were speaking, something that came across my phone that many of the neighboring areas are under mandatory evacuation for mudslides and flooding. Any
Wow.
area of major burn in the Santa Barbara County area in the past 3 years. People, so it could be serious.
Where are you exactly?
This